And here's the crazy thing. If you think about it that way, then you got to think about gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is like taking a grizzly bear and go, that grizzly bear should be on roids. And you take a grizzly bear and you jack him up on tren and you give him testosterone and cocaine and then let him loose in the woods. That's what gain-of-function research is. And our government was funding that. They were funding making more evil life forms. And that's where COVID-19 came from. It came from our tax dollars that goes off to this lab where they're working on making a life form more vicious to people.
What did they want?
It's a fucking weapon. That's what I think.
But didn't they just use it against us?
Well, I think it got out. I don't think they tried to use it against us. That's what I think. But I think that they 100% are developing these things to dump them on other countries. That's a fact. They've always done that.
But why at this
point? They've done tons of research that show that the United States has been involved in stuff like that forever. There was actually bioweapons labs that were in Ukraine when the war broke out that the United States was somehow involved with. Put that in there. Put that in there. What bioweapons labs was the United States involved with in Ukraine? Or how about this? Instead of being leading, were bioweapons labs discovered in Ukraine?
Baby girl.
Let's put that in first and see what it says. And then I'm going to ask it, were they funded by the United States? Can I see it? No bioweapons labs have been discovered in Ukraine, according to the United Nations, the U.S., Ukraine, and multiple independent experts. The allegations made by Russia and echoed by some Chinese officials involve claims that U.S.-funded laboratories involved in military biological activity were operating in Ukraine, but these claims have consistently been denied and refuted by international authorities. That doesn't mean anything. Independent investigations and statements by the UN disarmament chief confirmed that there is no evidence of a biological weapons program in Ukraine. Yeah. Okay. Are there any stories online about bioweapons labs discovered in Ukraine?
Yeah, it would be this, though.
The allegations made by... Yeah, but we don't know that that's true. So here's the thing. If the United States is running funding bioweapons labs in Ukraine, and it doesn't become a national news item, you think they're going to come up and say, "You're right, we did it"? No, they're not. But if you're gonna fund bioweapons research in China and in a lot of other places, are there stories about the discovery? Let's see what it says here. Stories about the alleged discovery of bioweapons labs in Ukraine have circulated widely, primarily promoted by Russian officials and state media. But these claims have not been substantiated by independent sources or international organizations, nor could they be. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to get in there and fucking rat everybody out in the middle of a war? They're going to kill you. Like,
yeah, they wouldn't let that out.
Chinese foreign ministry and various conspiracy theorists have also amplified these stories, including claims of 26 biolabs and illegal research discovered by Russian forces.
I would hate to work at one of those places.
Right. Yeah. Okay, here's a problem here, right here. International news organizations and independent scientists, including the BBC and experts at King's College London, have reviewed the alleged evidence and found it lacking, noting that the pathogens and documents cited by Russia are consistent with public health research, not weapons development. Okay, public health research is one of the ways that they do weapons development. They do it under the guise of public health research. That's the whole original premise of gain-of-function research. We're doing this so that we can figure out how to heal people. And if these diseases do come our way, we know more about them because we've been researching them. Like, okay, so the problem with the BBC saying it, well, we just found out the BBC's full of shit. That whole thing with Trump where they took a speech and they edited it and put a part that's more than 50 minutes later in the sentence to end the sentence. Like, they completely changed what he had to say. The head of BBC had to resign. This is a giant scandal. So I don't trust that. But I don't know who's telling the truth or who's not, because if I was Russia and I had invaded Ukraine, I would also say, we found bioweapons labs, and maybe there weren't any. You know, maybe it is a lie.
Well, it's the same with like the weapons of mass. It's just so hard to know what's real, you know, at our level of just like being a consumer.
See if you can find online a story so we could pick apart the story that says bioweapons labs found in Ukraine.
It's tough to know who to trust. It's just tough to know where to trust things. So I think you just have
True,
to.
but there's a fact that we have had bioweapons research, and so has Russia.